Just to know you're here to stay. I walk with faith, not with fear. Every step I know you're near. Through the doubt, through the rain, you're the calm inside the flame. Even when the night is long, your light leads me on. So I walk.
Hi, Barbara. Welcome back.
Hi, Molly. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, everyone. This is Barbara Elaine back for a second time on the Walk with Faith podcast. I am so happy you're here because there are a couple of things that I want to discuss. I could sense your energy when you came on because I can absolutely 100%, if not more, relate to what I am sensing with you. And I think it's absolutely beautiful and it needs to be talked about because I feel like people don't understand it. Part of the awakening experience, or when you get to a certain point in your journey, when we understand that it is an experience that we are living, that every single thing that we experience or encounter, we agree
Mm-hmm.
to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the detachment or the peace,
Mm-hmm.
information on my phone that comes with it. Because what you said was I have to admit, I am gonna admit this. I was feeling pretty alone with that because not many people get to that point of
Yeah.
neutrality. So when I sensed you and you came on today, I could see it and I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we can relate with that. So can you explain what you were telling me before?
Yeah, I what? Okay. It was around emotions. Um, so can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're perfect. Can
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, you're perfect. Um, Most people really, when they feel emotion, they really attach to it. They really identify with it. They allow the emotions to rule and control their life and their actions and their state, as opposed to using their emotions in a positive, productive way. And granted, um, this is what we were taught growing up, and we were not taught that it isn't us. It's not who we are. Our emotions aren't who we are. Our thoughts are not who we are. Our circumstances are not who we are. It's all experiential, right? And Source creates us as these beautiful extensions and emanations of itself to experience. And so there is no good or bad. Humans, they created what they perceive as good or bad, right? And so then we put things in categories. It's like this world that we live in that is duality, good versus bad, um, light versus dark, um, right versus wrong. Like that's not objective. That's all subjective based on a person's individual experience, conditioning, beliefs, perception. And so the biggest shift that I noticed, I've been a level of awake my entire life, but I denied myself my whole life because growing up, um, to be honest, I felt like I was taught not to trust my intuition and trust myself because I was so different. And so I thought it was bad, right? I thought it was wrong. Um, but the last 2 years have completely flipped me upside down, like, whoop, right on my ass. And especially the last, I want to say probably 6 months, I've come to a stage in my awakening journey where I I still feel emotions, but they don't affect me.
Yeah.
I don't really feel emotions. Like I want to say I don't feel emotions, but it's almost like I'm outside of myself, witnessing these emotions flowing through my physical avatar. And I'm not identifying with them and I'm not saying, attaching myself to them. and they're not affecting, sometimes they do affect my life. Like I'm very, very, this is funny, I'm very sensitive to the moon cycles, for example. So sometimes full moons still do get me a little bit.
Mhm.
But because I don't identify with attaching to being those emotions, I am not angry. I feel anger. I am not jealous. I feel jealousy. That's different, right? And so I can actually, we're not spiritual bypassing here because I'm still allowing myself to dip into those emotional states and look at them and shine a light on them and ask myself why and really be curious and find out where is this stemming from, what part of my body is it, wanting to rise out of, like to process and transmute and integrate. Because as humans, we don't get rid of something. That's like sweeping it under the rug, right? We integrate. But I'm at this stage now where I'm sitting above my emotional body, like above, but out of. So I don't feel like I'm drowning in the emotion, like as if you're drowning in water, right? Because water represents emotion, as you know. And so instead of feeling these big feelings like fear, for example, oh man, that's a big one. That one's hard. That one's hard to get to really transmute. And I feel like I went through all of the emotions, and then like fear and inadequacy and grief was all kind of like lingering underneath in the shadows at the root of it. And this was the last, I want to say the last 2 months, I really integrated that last bit. There's always more, there's always deeper layers, but it was a big one. And the last one that I transmuted and integrated was fear. Um, I felt like, and I get vision, so I could see, I literally could see myself. It felt like I was trying to walk through tar,
Interesting.
not like quicksand, but like tar. And I could see this black, just thick sludge, and I was in it, and I was walking super slowly through it. And the thing is that I was so aware of that. And I was so aware of the feelings I was feeling and what it was and where it stemmed from and why I'm going through it right now in my life. And suddenly, because I was so aware of that and the process, I was able to move through it within a week or two. And once I did, boom, it's like it felt like that was the last bit. And then all of a sudden I went up here again.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where, I mentioned to you earlier, like Jesus said, um, it's a peace that surpasses all understanding. People won't understand why, when maybe my life doesn't look that exciting or that great, or maybe it looks like I'm dealing with challenging things. But the peace that I feel inside of myself
Right.
cannot be shaken or swayed by outside experiences because I'm just learning less. I'm learning. And through those learning opportunities, I'm growing and my soul is expanding. And I got to tell you, every single time, 222 on my phone,
Awesome.
every single time I move through these challenges, I grow immensely. And I look back the last year and I'm like, whoa, like that boosted me up and that boosted me up. And now, so I'm almost like, bring it on.
That's right.
What's next?
What's next? What else
Hmm.
do I get to learn? What else do I get to
Yeah.
see?
Why are we living life if we're not living life?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like what, like to do the same things day in and day out and routines and like control and security and like, come on, man, let's
Right.
experience because that's why we're here. Really, truly, that's why we're here. It's to experience and and maybe sometimes things don't go our way or the way we wanted to or the way we thought it would.
Agree. But it still does because the experience, oh my gosh, I have some stories of things I thought were one way, but it was this really great experience. And then I ended up encountering some amazing individuals on this journey and having this whole other experience that was so enlightening. Maybe it wasn't this way, but it was that way. And these are memories, these are
Mhm.
experiences that I will never forget, that are so beautiful.
Right.
So it really is, how are we going to look at these experiences? And yes, we are here to live. We are here to experience. We are here to see as much as we can, feel it, wow, learn from it,
Yeah.
share it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that peace on the inside, that is, yeah,
Mhm.
other people, they may not understand it because they can see something on the outside, but they don't know necessarily the peace that you're feeling on the inside. And I can relate to that so deeply because no,
There, yeah, there are people that are homeless, sleeping on park benches, that have more peace and contentment in their heart than the majority of the people around me. Um, it truly is an inside job. Like it's all inside, right? And really, what is pure freedom? Pure freedom is just
right?
being at peace. It's not owning all the things and having more money than you could ever
No,
need, so you don't ever have to stress about money. And um, it's
that's
even even someone whose health is declining, or they're, you know what I mean? Like they could still have this immense peace and
Mhm.
freedom inside, to whereby even what would appear to someone from the outside as a horrible situation, they could just be, they're good. You know what I mean? Like they could be happier than anyone that person has ever met.
Mhm.
And it doesn't make sense to most people because we're so tied up in this material world, and we've been taught that we need to have things. We don't need to have things. We don't need to have anything. We have everything
We
we
have
need.
everything we need within us.
Yeah,
We we are everything we need.
we are.
We are. We, all of that. I say that to Ryan. Peace is the priority. Um, and I love my peace. When we talk about our passions, right? What is my passion? Peace.
Hmm.
That's literally like what I'm passionate about for me, for
Hmm.
in particular. Everything else that I experience is like a bonus on this journey. Um, and that means everything. That means what people would see as negative or positive, bad or good.
Hmm. Hmm.
Every encounter.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so because of this, I really like I've man, I've been through it, like the reason I am where I am in my journey right now is because I've been through it, because I've literally walked through hell and back. I
exactly.
literally spent years in the underworld, like as we
But
all
what I
do and
love what
have,
you said, to where the lower, the more pain, the more suffering, the higher up you will go. The
right?
duality of it. And that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
As far as the pendulum swings in one direction, it will swing back in the other direction, whether in this lifetime or the next. But the universe seeks balance. It requires balance. It will see its balance. and and really, like, we're meant to have all of these experiences, um but when you experience the lowest of the lowest of the lows, this is where we realize, when we finally get to the other side and we do feel that peace and that joy and that unconditional love, you realize through the contrast
Oh my gosh.
how good it actually is.
That's
Because without that contrast, it is just neutral. You have nothing to compare it to.
exactly. I I remember, and when you're talking about that, I mean, I can look back and I still can remember, that absolute at like whether it was I was in severe pain with certain injuries or surgeries at my lowest of my low, where I felt excruciating pain and I almost died a couple times, that or like the agony of heartbreak where you
Yeah.
sob so deeply and there's so much devastation
Mhm.
inside of you.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
to that degree, and then you get to that point of where you can see the peace inside of you or your health or your heart healing,
Mhm.
there you do. I mean, how would you see that? You wouldn't unless you experienced the absolute opposite.
Exactly. And so because of this and because of human experiences, I don't feel judgment anymore.
Right.
Like I understand that everyone's going through their own stuff and it's really
Mhm.
freaking hard.
It
But
is.
it's like it's so good at the same time. This earth that we live on is very dense. It is very dense and it's duality. And then, you fill it up with all of these things that we grew up believing about ourselves that aren't true. And so we filter our experiences through what we grew up believing. Like when a baby is born, they don't have fear, they don't have needs, they don't have judgment, they don't nothing. They're pure, perfect essence. They're pure, innocent spirit. The only thing they need is the nurturing of their mother, right? And really, like we as humans, we have created and allowed all of these attachments over our entire lifetime. Um, and then, of course, when you grow up hearing something enough times from your parents or peers or authority figures or whatever, you develop these belief systems. Well, all beliefs by nature are limiting. They just are, right? There's you have a belief, and then that's that, and then you put yourself in a box, and then you bounce around inside the box, but you never let yourself extend outside of the box.
Mhm.
But the moment you just release all that and you pull down those walls and you peel off the layers of the false self so that you can get to the core of who you are, until you know yourself,
Mhm.
you won't be able to step out of this experiencing this the experiences of the human self to view it from the perspective of your higher self, your true essence, right? You'll see it from a lens that is it's like the difference between standing on the ground and a bird flying through the air,
Mhm.
right? Like what you see is what you believe for the most part. And
Mhm.
so if
Mhm.
you can't see what the bird is seeing, this giant aerial view from above, then you believe you're limited, but
Right.
you're not because you are both the bird standing on the ground and the bird in the air. You are both of those at the same time. And the real key is to be able to jump up and down and back and forth
Right.
and be able to view things from all those lenses.
That's right.
And then from that place, use your free will choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't truly have free will choice if we're only standing on the ground because we don't know all our options
Mm-hmm.
or we don't believe we have more.
When we do.
We're
And
unlimited beings. We
we
are
are.
limited to the earthly vessel that houses our spirit, but our spirit is unlimited.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to trusting when you said trusting your intuition. You can take every single belief or everything you've been taught or every single experience and you can literally expand on it and take knowledge, what resonates, what do you feel good about?
Yeah.
What does your
Hmm.
intuition tell you? What does your higher self tell you?
Hmm.
It's like you have a choice to stay in the box and only believe what other people tell you, or you can take what you've learned and you can expand.
Hmm. The other thing too is it's not just believing what other people tell you. It's like if you have this innate um, like core solid structure within you
Right.
that says something is good and something is bad, even when your intuition is perhaps calling you in a direction and your moral compass is saying, oh, that's bad, you can't go that way, then you will hold back and you will hold yourself back.
Right.
So as interesting as this sounds, you
Right.
even need to shed your morals.
Interesting. That goes deep.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Can you give an
Um,
example?
what's that?
Can you give an example of that?
Mm-hmm, I can. I grew up in a very reserved Christian household. We attended a small Lutheran church. I went to this church because it was an elementary school, so I went there from like pre-kindergarten to grade 7.
Okay.
I was like the epitome of indoctrinated. And, my parents were strong in their faith, and my mom was very, very, very reserved and very strong. And she always held the opinion of if it is not of God, then it is of the devil.
Okay.
But then there's me that comes into this family as my like black sheep, but like I was so shy growing up and just I have such a loving heart, and I just, I want people to be happy and comfortable and this and that. And I also had a lot of karma from past lives that I needed to um, move through, and also ancestral stuff as well, like generational patterns and curses, right? So all of this has been placed on me,
Right.
and it was so heavy. But at the time, you just grow up feeling this heaviness and not really understanding what it is or why, and thinking there's something wrong with you. What is wrong with me? And so I grew up actually thinking I was inadequate. I don't know how much you know about human design, but when I did a deep dive into my human design and I looked at my incarnation cross, which is the 4 main gene keys that actually make up who we are, who our personality is, and it also points to our destiny in
Okay.
this incarnation. My highest main gene key, which makes up about 70% within my incarnation cross, the city is wisdom. And the shadow side of it is inadequacy.
Wow.
And so I spent my entire life mostly moving through inadequacy and never feeling good enough to whereby I could use my voice and speak out when I see or feel something. And I
Interesting.
always did. Like I've been getting, premonitions and all this since I was a child, like all these all of these things that happened to me that I was taught by my mother that were evil,
Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I just
right?
I just talked to somebody who, okay, talk about indoctrinated and limiting beliefs, like thinking because you, I think of Stevie Nicks with that it wasn't a reel, but how she's like, I keep my visions to myself. Um, because indoctrinated belief systems say, oh, okay, you're having a vision or you're being your authentic self, you're speaking out. Okay, well, you need an exorcism or something. Like, I literally just talked to somebody who they thought because this girl was gifted and she had sight and she was using her voice and being her authentic self and looked different from what they thought, that was evil, and she had something on her that needed to be removed. And that's
Hmm.
really that's that limiting belief
Yeah.
system. No, we have gifts that have been given to us that we all can tap into that are beautiful. And so for you, I think that's pretty incredible being able to see that clearly, especially now at this point. So you can
Hmm.
use your
Hmm.
voice, step into your power, and see yourself for who you are.
Everything is so clear, Molly. Like I have never been so clear.
Right.
Like it's so clear. And now because I am sitting above my emotions for the most part, now I have no issues with like other people having thoughts or judgments towards me. So
Oh,
I just speak.
absolutely.
Like I just like I'm not like you see some of my Facebook posts, man. People
Yeah,
probably think I've gone off the rocker.
I love it. I love it.
Just
No,
actually, I
it's
don't
true.
care.
I don't
What's
care.
that?
I don't care either. It's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
So there's truth that needs to be spoken, and I hold a lot of sacred knowledge, and I cannot hold it in. It's like this fire that's burning inside of me, and it's just getting hotter and bigger by the day. It literally wants to explode out. And so I won't hold it in. I will not do that. I spent the first 40 years of my life holding that shit in, and I won't do it.
Well,
And
imagine past
so,
lives. Past lives.
yeah,
I mean, have you dug into you having a voice in a past life and having that withheld, or even, you know, um,
I do remember some of my past lives now, actually.
yeah, like you're
I
finally
was,
free.
yeah, sometimes when I'm meditating, I feel something tight around my neck. And I was shown just the other day, actually, just the other day, I was shown myself being hung as a witch in one of my very recent past lives.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was a download that actually came to me it was very intense. It was last week. And I was guided to look up the Salem witch trials because I was told your last incarnation was beginning of 1700s. That's exactly when it was.
You know what's so crazy you're talking about this? Because I just talked to a dear friend of mine last night. She's a dear friend and she's a colleague. And we talked about the word witch and what that actually is,
Hmm.
and how all of these women were persecuted and
Yeah.
murdered and killed because they were healers. They were
Yeah.
they were in touch with their intuition, the power within,
Mhm.
all this sacred knowledge, and they were so feared because of it that they were tortured,
Yeah.
they were killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is programming. That is a
Well, that is fear.
fear.
People fear what they cannot understand. And also, when we go all the way back to, ancient times, it's been happening from the beginning, right? Because um, if someone who is a leader or who's in power, if they want to control and have people follow them, quite often it turns into how can I make them afraid of something so that they feel like I'm their savior,
Right.
right? And you see these in cycles and patterns throughout time in history on Earth.
Yeah.
And then Jesus walks the earth, and he's a man that came down from the monad, like the pleroma, like he's straight from source, and he came down with this sacred knowledge, and he was meant to teach and awaken and spread seeds and um, open up that Christ light, like that Christ consciousness within. That's why he spoke in parables. That's why he spoke in ways that people still to this day cannot properly interpret because they don't have the eye to see. It's not eyes, plural. It's eye to see,
Right.
and the ones that can see are the ones that will reach heaven. Like, it's so clear. I have never been more clear on anything, and now as I revisit, right, because I grew up as a Christian, I spent my entire childhood and into my teenagehood learning and researching and living on the word of the Holy Bible. And it was such a beautiful foundation. I have zero regrets. Like, it's exactly what it was supposed to be. It's exactly how it was supposed to be, and exactly how my soul chose it to be in the family that I chose. Because now I have this foundation of knowledge, and now I can go back in my more enlightened, not fully, but more enlightened state, and revisit and reread all of these words and all of these teachings from a totally different vantage point. And now I understand. And so, from that understanding, how can I now express it into the world like Jesus did? Jesus didn't come to be anyone's savior. He didn't come to be worshiped and be their God. He came to spread the light that is source in
Right.
a dark world,
Right.
right? But then in 325 AD, the Council of Nicaea got together and decided to canonize all of these amazing scriptures
Right.
and literally destroy
I'm just gonna
the
ask you that.
scriptures
I love how
that do
spiritual.
not align with the narrative they chose. which is a lot of like, man, there's so much out there, and thank God a lot of it's been dug up and unearthed. And we've got, the Nag Hammadi Library, and we've got the Library um, of Alexandria, and a whole bunch of, these beautiful, massive libraries full of ancient scripture that were burned intentionally. But now we have archaeologists digging them all up, and we're finding bits and pieces, and we're starting to put it together. And this is why it's happening here and now, because now it's time for the Great Awakening, right? Like we've switched over from the age of Pisces now into the age of Aquarius. It's time. We're
Right.
here. And that Christ consciousness is now coming down and seeding its light into beings like you and I, and just like spreading all over the globe.
It's so beautiful. It's so funny. I love how our guides, like literally, that was telepathic, I felt like right there. You were talking, and I thought, how does Barbara feel about the sacred knowledge and texts that have been taken out of the Bible or burned or destroyed or hidden? Literally, right after that, you started speaking on it.
Totally. Yeah.
So beautiful. Love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so because there was so much taken out when they canonized the Hebrew Bible and the Holy Bible, um, it it now it's like trying to build a puzzle, but you don't have all the pieces. So the picture looks different,
Right.
right? So now people are trying to grasp understanding from an incomplete puzzle. And they simply can't, and they simply won't be able to. If you're not willing to look outside of one sacred book, powerful, beautiful sacred book, but it's one, and there are others, and there's more. And so what I would what I would really encourage people to do is, as they feel pulled, as their passion pulls them to learning about different things, that's on purpose,
Mhm.
right? Like I jumped around over the past couple years learning about all of these different things, just in the direction of where I was feeling called to go.
Exactly.
What am I feeling called to learn today? Or like I'll go down a pathway, right? And I'll learn something, and then it'll strike an interest, and then I'll have a question. Now, like, oh, I need to look into that now, or oh, I need to read this book now. And I'm a busy mom of four. Like, I don't have all the time in the world to just sit down and read books. I listen to audiobooks all the time, like when I'm driving, when I'm walking the dog, when I'm doing chores around the house. Like, I've probably listened to, I mean, 100, 300 books, 400 books maybe in the past couple years on all of this stuff alone.
Yeah.
And really, like, these are the pieces of the puzzle. And it's like every time you see one thing and you understand, and then you weigh it with your own heart and your own intuition, you'll know. You'll know if it resonates or not.
Mhm.
You'll know what's true or not.
Mhm.
But that requires trusting yourself.
Right. Which has been very hard for people to do because they were always told not to trust themselves.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
so going back to throwing out, not necessarily throwing out, but like kind of removing yourself from like your moral compass, that could be difficult for people to do from what they've been conditioned, once again,
Hmm.
what is supposed to be right and wrong.
Hmm. Yep.
I feel like that's where we really have to go inward and say, okay, how does it feel in my heart here? Like without
Hmm.
fear, without any of that, but is it going to hurt me? Like, am I going to, like, is it going to be detrimental? Or is it really damaging or hurt somebody else? Or is this what I've been conditioned that is supposedly something to fear or wrong or right? Because your heart is going to know too, you know, if it's a decision we should make. It's not because of any outside. conditioning, I feel like, because there are things out there that people have said are wrong and not to do. And it's up to us to follow that intuition, that guidance, to get our own knowledge and experiences.
Mhm. So there's a couple of things that came up. I'm trying not to lose the first one, but I'll say the second one just while you're speaking.
Okay.
Um, every time we make a choice, it branches off
Mm-hmm.
into a new timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But if everything exists here and now, it all exists simultaneously, which
Mm-hmm.
means whatever choice we didn't make also exists in another timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But we're kind of like moving frequencies, moving timelines, like in and like we're just shifting constantly, billions of times per second.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, what has helped me huge in the past probably couple years is the acronym FOG when I need to make a choice. Knowing how limited I still was at the time, knowing that I'm going to make choices based on my own belief systems and moral compass and conditioning. Because at the time, I wasn't as tapped in to
Mm-hmm.
my intuition and my inner self as I am now, right? And
Right.
so I use the tool fog. So anytime you feel like you're going to make a decision, you have to ask yourself, am I making this decision out of fear, F,
Right.
obligation, O, or guilt, G? And honestly, just that alone changed my life.
Absolutely. I agree.
Because most of the time when we make decisions, it's either out of fear, obligation, or guilt.
Right.
And we have like this thing, in society where it's like groupthink, and it's like we have to be accepted. It's like this innate human need where we need to be like accepted in the pack. You know what I mean? But if there was no one and nothing around you, what would you choose? How would you be? Who would you be? How would you operate? Right? And when it comes down to it, people will really see how much they change their behavior, who they are, and their decisions
Obli-
based on the judgments of other people
Right.
because they don't want to be cast out of the crowd. They don't want to be cast out of the tribe. They don't want to be desolate on their own. Well, I want to be desolate on my own
I
because I
want to
do
be
not
that
want to be in a
because that's not
tribe
my time.
with people who don't know who I am.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
never wearing a mask again, like ever.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
not our tribe anyways. That wouldn't be
So
our tribe.
it's like, oh, you other people can have their judgments and that's their story.
That's
There
okay.
is probably a lot of people who don't like me right now because I have come out of my shell. And
Yeah.
I am perfectly okay with that because I know who I am.
There you go.
And the other thing I wanted to mention is it's truly as within, so without. So when we attract people into our outer reality who judge us, it's because we're judging ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
Because if we're not judging ourselves, those outside judgments will never
Hmm.
bother us. And this is one of the biggest thing I've seen for myself over the past few months is like I suddenly stopped living to please others and I lived my truth. And I stopped caring what other people thought of outside of me because I loved myself so fully and completely and accepted myself so fully and completely that I have no judgment. And so, sure, there's probably people judging me. I don't see it because they're in different timelines. They don't affect me. Does that make sense?
Absolutely
Yeah.
make absolutely. I love it.
Mhm.
It's very important. We have to take off the mask. We have to make the choice to, like, for me, I love who I am at where I'm at, but I had to learn that. I have to be me. It is
Mhm.
suffocating
There's
to
only one you, Molly.
only
There's no one
one.
else.
I
There's
know
only one.
one silly mommy. There's, they're multi-dimensional, like quirky, there's only one me.
Mhm.
And I can't, and what you said is so powerful because we have to make decisions not out of fog. for who we are, not afraid of
Mhm.
judgment. And those people really do, whether it's on a different timeline or we say they're removed or they just don't affect us, pretty much. And you know what I noticed is like when we change our frequency and we do start to judge ourselves, we have to remember because then that will start to come in. Or if there's some sort of guilt there, there will be something there that will come in to remind us that, wait a minute, what are we feeling on the inside? And what do we have to shift? Because we shift all the time. So it's about growth and learning and reminding yourself of who you are, your authenticity.
The
Um,
challenge, the challenge, Molly, is that people don't know who they are.
I know.
And that is a huge challenge because when they operate in life, they operate out of who they think they are, not who they are,
Yeah.
which further creates more misalignment
Yeah.
in your spirit, right? Um, and I don't know who your audience is. I don't want to jump ahead too far, but I do want to say that for whoever's listening to this, you got to learn who you are first. You think you know who you are, but you don't. Um, most people don't. And and in order to do that, you have to heal. You want to ascend, you have to heal. Ascension is healing. Healing is ascension,
Bingo.
right? So, how do you heal? You you can't sweep shit under the rug anymore. You have to do the hard work. This is the great work. This is the great work. People are like, "What do you do for work?" I'm like, "I work on myself." Oh, okay. What do you do for money? Well, guess what? When you're in alignment, the universe provides everything that you need, anything will come to you. And so, how do you heal? You gotta be still. You you eliminate distractions outside of yourself. If you can't shut off your mind, do a guided meditation and put on some frequencies, some music that, that sits, because we all have a certain like core state frequency,
Mhm.
right? Like there's the earth harmonic resonance, but then and each chakra vibrates at a certain frequency, but each person individually has like a core state frequency that will resonate with us. You could actually go on YouTube and you could look up the frequencies from like 0 to 20,000 hertz and just sit there in a calm, dark space with your eyes closed and just listen and wait until you feel it literally like flow through your entire body and bring you to a state of peace. That's your frequency. So you could do that with headphones on so that there's no outside distractions. If you have racing thoughts and you can't turn off the thoughts, don't turn off the thoughts. Like the biggest thing I find in spirituality practices when people are first starting is they think they need to do something a certain way and it needs to be perfect. And so because it's not working, they
Yeah.
stop. um, Allow yourself to go through the process, whatever that looks like. So if you're literally sitting there and you're running through your to-do list, that's okay. Imagine yourself taking a step out of your body and looking at yourself from an outside perspective, right? And then witness the thoughts that are running through. And
Hmm.
then you can be like, why am I thinking about that so much? Right? Like you could literally just sit there and contemplate. Um, but eventually you're going to get to a point where you've got to really look at the darkness. You've got to really turn and stare straight at and shine your light straight at the parts of yourself that you would rather didn't exist. Because as long as you deny those shadow parts of yourself that don't exist, you're still in this place of duality, and you're not whole. And in order to fully awaken, you need to be whole, right? Like it's like your whole being comes together, the masculine, the feminine, the light, the shadow. You're integrated and you're whole. And then from there is like your stream is like you shoot straight up in connection to source, to this like beautiful oneness. Like
Yeah.
you're just like plugged into source. right? But as long as there's incongruency in your spirit, you're going to feel just that sense of like um, fragmentation, I think is the word I'm looking for, right? So yeah, so healing. Like if you can't meditate for 20 minutes, meditate for 5
Yeah.
and do it a few times a day. Um, Shower is great too because the water is cleansing. So you could actually imagine like the water is literally drops from the divine. Like you could imagine it just like coming down through your crown chakra and running through your entire body. And I've actually done it so many times where I've literally seen and imagined the water running straight through my body. And breaking up all of like the densities and like the darkness and just like flowing it straight out my toes and down the drain. I
Right.
always feel so lighter after I do stuff like that.
And that's really important. I feel like people uh, need to get to that point where they're able to tap into the vision or their imagination, because that could be blocked for people too. So
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, so that is a really good practice for people to get back in touch with their imagination, to see
Yeah.
it, visualize.
Imagination is creation.
Exactly.
It's like, what the heck? Like, we're not supposed to stop having, imagination when we're an adult. It's not only for children,
Right. Right. Exactly.
right? Yeah, imagination is creation. And if you can imagine it, it actually already exists on another timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to match that timeline, you have to be of the frequency.
Hmm.
You have to be the matching frequency to the timeline. And so when people say higher timelines, lower timelines, it's not really accurate because it's all simultaneous and together, and we get what we need from each phase
Hmm.
um, of our life of existence. But really, if there is a higher frequency, well, now we can look at like the map of consciousness, for example, where you look at emotion and the
Hmm.
very, very bottom lowest of the map would be like grief, fear, apathy.
Right.
And then as you move up the scale,
Hmm.
then you go kind of more into like anger. Like anger on the map of consciousness is actually higher, much higher than fear and grief.
Hmm.
So if you're feeling these really, really low, dense emotions and you can't access joy because it's too far away, can you be mad about something? Go be
Right.
mad about something,
Right.
right? Like get fired up, man. Like because it is high, and so it's like when you're climbing a ladder, you don't jump to the top step. You
Mhm.
climb the ladder one at a time, right? And so then you get to like neutrality eventually in the middle, which is kind of around 500, where enlightenment would be 1,000. And then as you move up higher above neutrality, you start getting into places like love and joy. Unconditional love sits at around, if I remember correctly, I think it was like around 750 on the scale, the map of consciousness. I love it. People can Google that and just like save the
I
image to
put
their
it,
phone.
I put it
Yeah,
on the panel several
yeah,
times.
and use it for reference, right?
Hmm.
And just because their core state maybe sits at like unconditional love, it doesn't mean they don't dip back down.
Hmm. Exactly.
We're still living human lives. Like we're going up and down the ladder all the time, but the
Mhm.
the the beauty of it is that once your core frequency is a little bit higher, then you view everything from a totally different lens. And when you do dip back down, you're hyper aware of it. You know exactly what it is, you know why it's happening, you know what's going on, and you know how to bump yourself back up into your core state.
Hmm.
It's a game changer.
Exactly. Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah.
So I know we were going to talk about some other stuff, but maybe you'll come back on and we can discuss at another
Mm,
time, if that's okay.
anytime.
I would love that. Thank you.
I'm bursting with information.
No, and I want you to keep sharing. So I think that would be amazing. So, if you could leave anything for anybody, any guidance, any tips, tools, on top of everything that you've already shared, what would it be that you could leave? Something
It's a
simple that people can use.
yeah, it's a really good question. This is hard This is really hard for people to hear
Okay.
when they're really going through it. Like when life is like hitting them at all ends and it just feels like they're dying and in hell. Is you're exactly where you're supposed to be
Mhm.
with exactly who you're supposed to be with in this exact moment in time. Like it's exactly perfect according to your soul's plan and will. And so in that darkness that you're traveling through, I promise you there's a purpose. And I get goosebumps as I say this. Like, man, I have walked through darkness and just wanted to die. But had I not gone through that, I never would have hit the point of complete release and surrender.
I got it.
I had to let it all go.
Right.
All of it, all attachments, all beliefs, all wants and needs, um, pieces of my identity that actually weren't me at all. What people fear is that when you let go and you release everything, that there's going to be nothing left. They fear the empty space that they cannot define, that they don't know what's there, right? But I promise that what's there is better than you could ever imagine. But when Jesus said that it would be better or easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle than for a man who has wealth, for example. It wasn't it it wasn't him talking bad about someone who has wealth. And I know a lot of churches and people have interpreted it that way. What he was referring to is material things, material possessions, um, even relationships with people that don't fit your future. I had to let go of so many relationships that don't fit my future.
Mhm.
And you don't get through the eye of the needle, the narrow path, without dropping all your baggage. You have to let it all go
Right.
and do it without judgment,
Mhm.
right? Because if you feel like there's something in your life that you just can't let go, don't judge yourself for it. You know, have some grace and compassion. Like it's a process.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was
Yeah.
really important that you shared.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Hmm.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, yeah,
Thank you, Mom.
I really want you to come back on, share more. We have so much more to talk about.
Hmm.
And I'm excited, and this is going to help many people. I know it is.
I hope so. Yeah. And people can reach out to me too. Like, you can put my links, but I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well. I don't do too many platforms because I don't want to, yeah, I keep it basic.
Yeah, okay.
Or
Yeah,
email, that works too. Yeah.
okay. Do you want to share your email with people
Mhm.
right now so they can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's transformation begins within at gmail.com.
Thank you.
So all one word, transformation begins within. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, and we'll post all of that as well. So,
Okay.
all right. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you so much, Molly, for having me. You have a beautiful day.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Sending you so much love, and we pray that you're always surrounded by the Most High God's love, protection, and blessings. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
I walk with faith. You've never failed, not once before. Why would you now, my Lord? So I lay it all in open hands and follow where you stand. You're the breath inside my chest. I'll trust you with the rest. I walk with faith, not with fear. Every step